Welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission today is, well, it's to unpack a pretty wild, heavily synthesized multimedia philosophy.
Oh, absolutely wild.
Right. It's a project called PATJACKS Inc., created by Lori Patrick. And the stack of sources you've shared with us for this deep dive is frankly astounding in its sheer variety. I mean, we are looking at a 55-video YouTube channel called For You to See.
Yeah, that's right. 55 videos.
Plus these incredibly dense infographics detailing something called the Alchemy of Sound, Science, and Soul.
Which is quite a title. Yeah.
It really is. And then there's this visual aesthetic that just clashes. You have raw historical gold mining photography right up against colorful abstract art. And my personal favorite, a cartoon sun with cannabis leaf rays just giving a cheerful thumbs up.
Yeah, that really catches you off guard when you first look at the sources.
Definitely. It is just a lot to take in because usually when we talk about human empathy or kindness or the golden rule, we picture this soft, frictionless greeting card, like a pastel-colored sentiment about holding the door open for a stranger.
Exactly. It's usually very sanitized.
Right. But this project takes that greeting card and just throws it straight into a freezing, muddy riverbed. Okay, let's unpack this.
I think the best place to start is right there in the mud, honestly.
The mud.
Yeah, because that physical reality is the foundation for literally everything else PATJACKS Inc. is trying to communicate.
Yeah.
Before we even touch the quantum physics or like the alternative rock music that this project uses.
Which we will definitely get to because, wow.
Oh, we will. But first, we have to look at the primary metaphor. The creator grounds their entire philosophy, which they call the one rule. And that rule is simply love thy neighbor as thyself.
Right.
But they ground it in the grueling, historically brutal labor of gold panning.
And the visual sources really hammer this home. We have these striking photographs of traditional black prospectors' pans, and they're swirled with incredibly fine, bright gold dust.
Real physical grit.
Yeah, and then there are images of wet, raw river rocks, like heavy boulders with thick, visible quartz veins running right through them. It doesn't feel philosophical at all. I mean, it feels tactile and heavy. It feels like actual labor.
Well, and what's fascinating here is why this historical metaphor is so incredibly effective. By grounding a very abstract moral concept in the backbreaking work of pulling value out of dirt, the creator fundamentally shifts how we view kindness.
It stops being this cheap, easy cliché.
Exactly. It's not just handed to you.
Yeah.
The text in our sources explicitly states that we, as humans, are made of iron and carbon. Hard, pressured, forged by life. That's a direct quote.
Iron and carbon. Wow.
Yeah, and they visualize a specific moment where static turns into light and iron sheds the rust to finally reclaim a spark.
That imagery of rust acting as a prison is incredibly evocative for me. Like, if you're listening to this, think about the daily grind of your own life.
Oh, definitely. The daily pressures.
Right. You have the pressure of your job, you have bills to pay, endless email threads, maybe a frustrating argument with a friend or a partner.
The traffic on the way to work.
Yes, the traffic. All of that is the dirt. It's the silt, the heavy black sand settling at the bottom of the gold pan. It's the rust that naturally builds up and suffocates our innate empathy.
That's a great way to look at it.
And the creator's point seems to be that kindness isn't just sitting there on the surface waiting to be picked up. You have to actively labor. You have to constantly wash away that heavy negativity and cynicism, right?
Right, to uncover what the text calls a micro-discovery or a prismatic shift.
A prismatic shift. I love that phrasing.
And they lean heavily into the deep local history of California to make that labor feel real.
Oh, yeah, the geography.
Yeah, the sources reference the Yuba River, the towns of Cordua and Marysville. And historical figures like W.T. Ellis Jr., they even tie it to a narrative called Glitter's Great Sierra Journey.
Let's talk about why they do that, actually. Because at first glance, dropping mid-19th century California local history into a project about universal empathy feels, well, incredibly random.
It does seem a bit out of left field initially.
Right. But Marysville, for instance, has a massive history defined by dirt and water. Specifically, building these huge levees to protect itself from catastrophic floods. And W.T. Ellis Jr., he was literally a levee commissioner there.
So it creates a geographic anchor. The creator doesn't just invent a sterile fantasy world to preach about being a good person. They anchor this philosophy in the real historical dirt of Marysville and the Yuba River.
It grounds the metaphor.
Exactly. They invoke figures like Ellis Jr. and tales like Glitter's Great Sierra Journey to show that this grueling search for value, this need to build defenses and sift through the wreckage, is a historical reality.
The physical pressure of surviving in that environment mirrors the iron and carbon state of the human condition they describe.
Spot on.
There's actually a specific song mentioned in the sources titled Lost Gold, and the notes for it include the lyric, "Iron is a prison. Shed the rust and reclaim your spark."
Shed the rust.
Yeah. So for anyone listening right now, I mean, it's worth asking yourself what rust you might be holding on to. What cynical assumption or past grudge is acting like an iron prison in your own life?
What's keeping you from that spark?
Exactly. Because this project insists the gold is in there, you just have to do the panning.
But, the narrative doesn't stay in the 1800s. Which is where things take a turn.
Right.
From the physical riverbeds of California, the project takes a massive, sudden leap into the subatomic realm.
Okay, yes. Here's where it gets really interesting, but I have to admit I'm struggling with this leap, like from physical dirt to quantum mechanics.
It's a big jump.
It is. I was looking through the infographics, specifically the wing labeled The Science of Superposition, and the creator starts throwing around terms like wave collapse, the holographic universe, and the observer effect.
Heavy physics terms.
Right, and it feels a bit like they are just throwing scientific buzzwords at a moral philosophy to make it sound more sophisticated. I mean, a subatomic particle is essentially a mathematical probability in a laboratory, right?
Right.
But the guy cutting me off in traffic is a concrete jerk. How does this quantum framework actually survive outside of a physics textbook?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it actually provides the functional mechanism for how their philosophy works.
Okay, I'm listening.
Let's look at the observer effect in quantum physics.
Yeah.
Simply put, a particle exists in a state of superposition, meaning it exists in all possible states simultaneously until the exact moment it is measured or observed.
So until you look at it, it's everything.
Exactly. The act of observation is what literally collapses the wave function, forcing that particle into a single, definite reality.
Okay, so observation dictates reality, but how does that apply to human behavior?
PATJACKS Inc. takes this observer effect and applies it directly to human interaction as a psychological tool.
Oh.
Yeah, imagine that every person you meet, your coworker, a stranger on the street, or that person in traffic you mentioned.
The jerk in traffic.
Right. Imagine they're existing in a superposition of potential. They could be having a terrible, hostile day, or they could be entirely open to a moment of grace and connection. You don't know yet.
Because I haven't observed them.
Exactly. The sources suggest that your conscious choice to observe them with kindness, to actively apply the one rule, is the observation that collapses their wave function into a positive state.
Wait, so the argument is that by expecting the good in someone, by projecting what they call a safe tone, you are functionally creating the reality where they are good.
Yes, exactly that.
You aren't just reacting to them, you are building them in that moment.
Yeah.
That is wild.
It is, and the infographic refers to this as creating a frequency shift. It also mentions living in a holographic universe where there is a deep mirror of connection.
A deep mirror.
Right. In a holographic universe, every piece contains the whole. If we are all mirrors reflecting each other's frequencies, the text argues that condemning no one is absolutely vital.
Because if you condemn someone...
If you observe them as hostile and lock them into that negative wave collapse, you are trapping both of you in a state of rust and iron, because they are merely reflecting your observation back at you.
That provides incredible context for some of the track titles we see in the sources, particularly the one called Superposition. We choose it all.
It really does. It implies total responsibility.
Yeah, we choose the reality we walk into based on how we observe it. And they also use this incredible phrase, golden interference.
Ah, yes.
In physics, wave interference is when two waves meet and either cancel each other out or amplify each other. Here, they're talking about the amplification of empathy.
It's active, participatory reality-making through the lens of compassion. You are the wave, and when you meet another person, your frequency either amplifies their rust or it amplifies their gold.
It's just a beautiful, albeit very dense quantum prospecting philosophy. But, I mean, if you hand the average person on the street a highly detailed infographic about collapsing wave functions of empathy or the historical levee systems of Marysville...
Their eyes are going to glaze over immediately.
Immediately. Human beings naturally resist being preached to. So how does the creator actually sneak this complex philosophy past our natural cynicism?
Well, that brings us to the actual medium of the project, which they call the sonic architecture.
Right.
The primary vehicle for delivering this message isn't a textbook. It's a YouTube channel called 4U2C, which currently houses 55 videos.
Yeah.
And The genre is not what you would expect for a project about universal kindness.
No, it is not. It isn't meditative chanting or soft acoustic folk music.
Not at all.
It's alternative rock. It features a female songwriter, and the project specifically brands its sound as a benevolent ruckus focused on words for good.
Benevolent ruckus. I love that term.
It's great, and the aesthetic is just unapologetically chaotic. Like we said earlier, next to those raw photos of heavy rocks and gold dust, the sources include this colorful, trippy, abstract art, clearly labeled benevolent ruckus.
Yeah.
And then there's that cartoon sun with cannabis leaf rays, just smiling and giving a thumbs up.
The visual clash is very intentional, though. The creator knows the message they're delivering. This demanding philosophy of active structural empathy is heavy.
It's a lot of work.
It is. If the delivery mechanism was purely earnest and serious, it would feel pretentious. The smiling cannabis sun and the vibrant abstract art act as a pressure valve.
Oh, that makes sense.
It signals to the audience that while the philosophy is serious, the experience of it doesn't have to be rigid.
So what does this all mean? We have quantum physics, California gold rush history, alt-rock, and a smiling cartoon sun. Why use rock music to deliver words for good?
It's a great question.
Because historically, rock music is the language of rebellion. It's built on angst, anger, and pushing back against the system. Yet here, the creator is intentionally engineering rock music as a benevolent ruckus to promote an innate choice of kindness.
It is a brilliant psychological subversion of the medium. Think about it. We often fail at empathy because we try to logic our way into it.
Right. We tell ourselves, I should be nice to this person.
Exactly. But our body is tense, our jaw is clenched, and we are vibrating with frustration. PATJACKS Inc. seems to argue that empathy isn't just a logical choice. It is a physiological state.
The physiological state.
Yeah, and music, especially rock with its heavy rhythms, gritty bass lines, and distorted guitars, has a unique ability to bypass our brain's logical filters.
You know, if you're trying to figure out how that works in practice, think about a room full of tuning forks.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
If you strike one tuning fork, and there is another fork across the room tuned to the exact same pitch, that second fork will spontaneously start vibrating. It's called sympathetic resonance. It doesn't have a choice. Physics demands that it vibrate. That seems to be exactly what the sonic architecture is doing.
That is a perfect analogy for what the creator terms the synthesis. When you read a philosophical treatise about loving your neighbor, your brain throws up defenses.
It argues.
It argues. It thinks of all the reasons why your neighbor doesn't deserve your love. But when you feel the visceral, physical vibration of a heavy track like Lost Gold or Fire Inside the Rain, you aren't arguing.
You're just feeling it.
Right. The sound architecture is designed to act like that primary tuning fork, physically forcing your body to resonate at a specific frequency.
So they are trying to hack your emotional state through sympathetic resonance. You can't think your way into kindness, so they are just going to vibrate you into it.
Pretty much.
The sources also mention a track called Mortal River, which the notes describe as an anthem for the empaths and the heavy-hearted.
That's a heavy title.
It is, and it acknowledges the toll it takes to constantly wash away the silt, to maintain that safe tone in communication when the rest of the world is operating on a frequency of rust.
And importantly, the project provides a community for those people. As we look deeper into the sources, it becomes clear this isn't merely an album release or like a static art exhibit.
No, not at all.
It is an entire ecosystem designed around tangible action.
The PATJACKS Inc. ecosystem. They have this initiative called the Million Voices Global Inheritance.
Yeah.
And the call to action is highly participatory.
Very hands-on.
Yeah, they ask people to subscribe to the channel, leave a recording, and email them to formally join the journey. But the detail in the sources that absolutely stopped me in my tracks is a literal stock offering.
Ah, yes. The founder offering.
Yes, the text explicitly lays it out. It says, founder offering, 2.5 million shares at 1 cent. 1 penny a share.
A literal penny stock.
And they pitch this as a once-only opportunity to fund the channel and build what they call the trust fund for all time.
Which raises an important question about how we fundamentally assign value in our society. And honestly, it creates a fascinating thematic tension with the other quotes provided in the sources.
It's a massive paradox. On one hand, you have the overarching slogan of the ecosystem, which is kindness as currency. Frequency shines.
Right.
And then you have a specific lyric from the project that states, it's not about money, it's not about views, it's the safe tone of kindness we're all born to choose.
It seems like a contradiction.
If you're listening to this and thinking, wait, they say it's not about money, but they're literally selling millions of shares of stock, you're not alone. It feels completely contradictory.
It does, until you look at the math and the mechanism behind it.
Walk us through that.
Well, in a traditional corporate structure, selling 2.5 million shares of stock is a mechanism for maximizing shareholder profit and consolidating power, right?
Ish. Wall Street basics.
But at 1 penny a share, the total capital raised from this entire offering is only $25,000.
Oh.
This isn't a scheme to get rich on Wall Street. By assigning a literal penny stock of value to this movement, the creator is playfully disrupting typical capitalist value systems.
So it's almost satirical, but with a deeply earnest goal.
Exactly.
Think of it like buying a lottery ticket. When you buy a scratch-off, the dream is that you win a giant novelty check and a new car.
Right.
But here, you buy a penny share, and the ultimate jackpot is just the collective communal effort of making the world a slightly safer, kinder place.
They're forcing the participant to put a tangible, monetary value, even if it's just a single cent, on the concept of empathy.
They are proving that kindness as currency isn't just a catchy lyric for an alt-rock song. They're literally attempting to construct a working microeconomy based on that exact principle.
It brings all the disparate metaphors of the project together perfectly, don't you think?
It really does. You have the literal dirt and pressure of the economy and fundraising utilized specifically to reveal the gold of universal kindness. It is a financial wave collapse.
A financial wave collapse. I like that.
It's putting your money where your frequency is. They are taking the stock market, which is arguably the most cutthroat iron and rust concept we have in modern society.
And transmuting it into a mechanism for funding words for good.
Exactly.
You know, the scope of what Lori Patrick is attempting here is incredibly ambitious. It demands a lot of the listener.
It really does.
It demands that you don't just passively consume the art as background noise, but that you actively participate in collapsing the wave of your own reality into something positive.
Well, we've covered a massive amount of ground today. I mean, we started in the freezing waters of the Yuba River, feeling the back-breaking grit of panning for gold.
We really went everywhere.
We took a massive leap into the mind-bending observer effect and holographic universe of quantum physics.
And we saw how all of that is unified by this benevolent ruckus.
Right, an alternative rock soundtrack specifically engineered with heavy bass lines to act as a tuning fork, physically vibrating us out of our cynicism and shifting our emotional frequency toward universal kindness.
And they are backing it all up with a literal penny stock economy.
Exactly. Before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over, building on this idea of the observer effect and the frequencies we broadcast.
Okay, what is it?
We talked about how observing someone with kindness collapses their wave function into a positive state in the physical world. But think about the digital world for a moment. Think about the algorithms that feed our social media.
Oh, wow.
Those algorithms are quite literally a mathematical observer effect. They show us more of whatever we choose to observe.
That is so true.
If we are constantly clicking on outrage, arguing in comment sections, and engaging with anger, we are actively collapsing the internet's wave function into a state of rust. We are building an architecture of static.
So what's the alternative?
Well, what happens if we apply PATJACKS 1 rule to our digital lives? What if we actively choose to only click on, share, and observe kindness online?
We shift the frequency.
We have the power to force the algorithm to broadcast a benevolent ruckus. We are the sonic architecture of our own feeds.
That's a powerful thought to leave on.
Thank you so much for joining us and exploring these incredibly dense, uniquely beautiful sources today. Until next time, keep your mindset golden.